Hello, welcome to Local Anesthetic Podcast, your regular injection of mind-numbing local news. This is episode 367 now, and Rob and I do sometimes have to record episodes ahead of time, with our busy schedules and just life being what it is. And we are actually recording this. We're recording this one very early. We might as well be honest with the listeners. We've had to, but we're actually recording on the hottest day of the year, and which will probably be the hottest day ever recorded. July 18th, unless of course it's beaten by tomorrow. And how are you doing in the heat, Rob?
Alex, I'm not going to lie, so far I've been okay. I deliberately went out early this morning, as we discussed prior to the podcast. So I dropped Lyra off at nursery. I know that other nurseries have closed in the area. Thankfully, our nursery is still open. I went into town and realised that, around 8 o'clock, it was hitting the mid-20s, which I find is absolutely insane. My poor cats, I think, are very restless and try not to literally melt. Again, Alex, obviously, we were, just to as a sneak peek behind the curtain, we were saying before the podcast, I can't believe there is anyone out there who is still denying climate change. I mean, the fact that there is a possibility that London is going to hit 40 degrees today is insane.
I said to you, Rob and I had an interesting text exchange yesterday all over WhatsApp, because I had heard this interview with a meteorologist who's written like a number of books. He was a real expert. It was on the radio, and he was saying that basically, you expect variances in temperature. That you might have like one year it gets like half a degree warmer than another year, but this is you're talking about just smashing it. And he said that for him these 2 days indicate that we are past any kind of tipping point. And I said to you at one point, he said, we have hit the iceberg. We're like the Titanic, and we've hit the iceberg. And you did say to me, Rob, that at least the Titanic didn't indicate the end of civilization. And I pointed out to you, well, the other thing about the Titanic is that it did have lifeboats and the chance of survival. With climate change, there are no lifeboats. Maybe for people like Elon Musk who'll fly off to Mars and say goodbye to this planet. But, what I mean is there aren't going to be really lifeboats or really any chance of survival.
I went to a wedding this weekend. I'm just going to ignore that comment and just plough ahead. I went to a wedding this weekend of Pete, who's obviously been mentioned on this podcast, and he is our archive correspondent. It was a beautiful day. It was down in Dorset, glorious weather. I was a groomsman. But the reason I mentioned this, it was a lovely day, and congratulations both Pete and his beautiful wife Hannah, who are I think currently about to board a plane to Croatia for the honeymoon.
The reason you mention it is because you were struck by the complete futility of it all.
Yeah, I realised that technically all life is coming to an end. No, it was Alex. I'm not sure we ever talked about it in the podcast, but I deplore bad customer service. It really, really niggles me.
I'm wondering what the connection between this is and climate change, but go on.
Well, Alex, I think there are two things that will bring down human civilization. That's climate change and poor customer service.
Agreed.
Yeah. And I just wanted to name and shame the Moss Bros in Stevenage, who, despite assuring me that my groomsman's suit would be in their store on Thursday for me to collect, we had to get it couriered to the B&B 2 hours before the ceremony was due to take place.
No, that's appalling. Did they refund? Did they cover the cost of the courier?
They did cover the cost of the courier. It is currently being investigated. But yeah, I do think at one stage that the manager of the school was actually physically screening my calls, because I swear to God, on the Thursday I called on 3 separate occasions, and each time they picked up, and that was to check whether the suit was there. Obviously it didn't arrive. And on the Friday, no one picked up the phone, and I must have called on, no exaggeration, around 15 times. So I think that, the manager was actively avoiding me. So go fuck yourselves.
Moss Bros, yeah. Didn't even know they were still a thing. Yeah. But anyway,
right,
no, Rob.
They won't be soon.
Before we get sort of quite threatening, Rob. Before we just get onto the stories, the meat and potatoes of this podcast, is there any news apart from your bitter experience?
Yeah, just a few things. I'll be the first to admit I've been neglecting the listener group. So just a few things to draw to your attention. Steve wrote on the group, and I'm assuming this. I'm not entirely sure which episode this was, but he was asking. Well, he basically says, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Has it just been revealed that Alex has never been to Greg's?"
No, I have. I've eaten food from Greg's that was purchased for me. I've actually never walked into a Greg's in my life. And weirdly,
sorry,
yeah, and weird. Right. It's weird you say that.
Who was buying you Greg's?
But it's weird that you say that because I have actually on my local high street got a Greg's, so maybe I'll just try it one day.
So hang on, you've been berating me all this time because I am sometimes I succumb to the allure of Greg's, but you've never actually tried any of their sweet treats.
I have. I've tried. Somebody bought me. I think somebody gave me a vegan sausage roll from there to try once, and it was very nice.
Alex, but we don't know if that person's tampered with it. Unless you physically made that transaction, we cannot say for sure.
Okay,
so could I challenge you?
Yeah, between now and the next regular episode of the LA, I'll try and buy a Greg's. Bearing in mind, I don't eat.
It can be anything.
Okay, because I don't eat pork, so I feel like I'm missing out. Because surely that's 98% of their menu.
No. I mean, you can buy a steak bake. You could buy what else? There's other things too, or a gingerbread man, or one of their, or Tottenham cake. Anything, Alex, and then you can feed back on this podcast.
Rob, I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm not going to buy a Tottenham cake.
Yeah, that's understandable. So two other things very quickly. Steve also alerted to an Eagle Heights update.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's what we pay Steve to do. To be fair, Well, I'm not sure about we pay him. I think he pays us, but never mind.
Well, yeah, that is true. So the gist of it is, so they've got new arrivals, Alex. So they've got some new rescue animals.
Hang on. Mountain lion.
No, a lot less exotic than a mountain lion.
Stoat.
Bigger than a stoat.
A ferret with 3 legs.
No, it was. So basically, it was a Shetland pony. Is the apparently, due to extenuating circumstances, the owner was unable to keep him. We don't know why that was the case.
Shetland pony, otherwise known as a love pony, Rob. But they're pint sized. You can keep them in the cupboard, away from prying eyes.
That's a good point. He's been named Kenny by the staff, apparently.
Can he do it? Yes, he can.
And he's currently living with 2 rescue sheep for company. So there's that. So if you want to go and see, if you want to go to the bird of prey,
if you want a menage a trois with a Shetland pony and 2 sheep, Eagle Heights is your best bet.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget, obviously, this is a bird of prey sanctuary that apparently also has sheep and Shetland ponies. And the other piece of news is that Khyber has managed to somehow find the TripAdvisor page for Orlando's in Norwich.
Well done. Oh, so are we going to be hearing any of those reviews, Rob?
Yeah, I'm just going to do. I won't do. There's only 4 reviews, but I was
for any new listeners. We should just say Orlando's in Norwich is this guy. We've covered this story a number of times. It's some guy. You correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, but it's some guy who lives in Norwich who basically opened a restaurant out of his house, out of his front room. But he keeps claiming it's not a restaurant because they keep trying to close him down because he hasn't got a license. But there's a sign outside saying Orlando's, there's a menu. But he says no. What does he say it is if it's not a restaurant?
Well, he's now maintaining... Well, I think he's now running a bed and breakfast, if you remember. Right. Yeah. So all these reviews now, I think... I'm not entirely sure how legitimate these are.
To be fair to him, are there any good ones there?
Okay, well, let's read this. So the first one is from August last year, so it's 2021, and the title of the review was Not a Restaurant by Joseph S., who simply says...
These are people who...
was seated on a living room sofa facing the TV, served a TV dinner. When I went to the restroom, Mrs. Orlando was in the shower, the cloakroom was the bedroom, and they had to move their personal car for me to park. What the heck? brilliant.
No, I believe that's got too many. I think somebody might have stayed there.
Yes, I mean, there's a very similar review from Amelia J, who said, odd, but the food was good. Booked a table for the secure restaurant, but the directions given were to a residential street and someone's front door. Pleasant waiter through and had no hesitation in letting us in and taking us to our seat. Odd, as this consisted of a coffee table and 2 wing-back chairs in a rather traditional living room.
Hang on a minute. Hang on. Isn't that the episode title?
Yeah.
What you got to repeat that.
So a coffee table and 2 wing-back chairs in a traditional living room.
Yes, absolutely. Right, I love it when we get it early on. That's brilliant. I love that.
The soothing tones of Joey Paxton were heard on the older shaman as an older shaman-type lady was sat opposite us on the sofa watching University Challenge. I kid you not.
An older shaman-type lady watching University Challenge is also a very good episode title. This review is full of them. Good find, Kyber.
It absolutely is. So, as peculiar as the setting was, the food was very tasty and served with a smile. The disc out of 10% to fill the dishwasher ourselves was too good to decline also.
Right.
I really hope this is genuine, Alex. I mean,
it kind of
you get a 10% discount if you fill the washer yourself.
If they're not genuine, these people should consider going into writing comedy. I feel like the incidental details give it the ring of truth to me.
Yep. I agree.
Unless Kyber left them, of course. Kyber and Steve.
So the review finishes by saying, unfortunately for the wife, in trying to find the toilet, walked into a laundry room and clotheslined herself on a pair of silk knickers. And he says, whilst I'd return, the wife wouldn't. So there we go. There's only 2 more reviews, which are actually quite positive. But overall, 3 stars for Orlando's in Norwich.
Okay. Rob, talking about all things odd, this podcast specialises in that, of course. Weird, strange, wonderful news from around the world. Look, Rob, I've got 2 kind of, I would say, semi-related stories here.
Okay.
Now, Rob, the first story is from a paper I don't believe that we have featured before, and I'm very pleased to have discovered it. It is called the Banbury Guardian.
No, that's a new one.
Now, Rob, it was news you can trust since 1838. I think that should be our new slogan. You know, it's a lie, but we just stick it on.
I mean, why stop there, Alex? Why not go to like the 1600s or something like that?
Do you know where Banbury is?
I do know where Banbury is. It's Oxfordshire.
So this took place. It involves Northampton Court, so are we talking in the right area of the world here?
It would do, yeah. They're neighbouring counties, so yeah, that would make sense.
Okay, Rob, look, we're starting off with a banger here. A classic. Headline: Former Banbury area pastor is sentenced at Northampton Court after performing sexual acts on a Henry Hoover at church.
Okay. I mean, Alex, that Hoover isn't going to speak out. It is the perfect victim, if you ask me.
It's. I think I'm going to have to visit the Banbury Guardian again in the future. So, John Jeffs, age 74, of Bull Balk in Middleton Cheney, appeared at Northampton.
Sorry, hang on.
Yeah.
So John Jeffs of Bull Balk,
yeah, 74, of Bull Balk in Middleton Cheney, appeared at Originally, I thought this had taken place in the United States. You know how the United States has some names that are named after places in England, basically, when we settled. I thought, but Bull Balk, Middleton Cheney, I thought, oh, it must be somewhere in the United States, you know, having never heard of Banbury before. But that's just my poor, geography. But it isn't in the United States, it's over here. So basically, he appeared at Northampton Magistrates Court on Wednesday, July 13th, after being convicted of indecent exposure. The court heard Jeffs was based at the Baptist Centre in Middleton Cheney when he committed the offence, all the way back, Rob, in September 2020. Now, you'll remember, Rob, we were right in the heat of the pandemic then. And, you know, a lot of people did some strange things. You know, I feel like anything people did over that period of time should be waived from the record.
Alex, but if you remember that time, obviously they eased restrictions slightly. So I mean, if it was an April May time where things we were thick in the midst of the first lockdown, then I'd understand. But Alex, it seems like he just saw an opportunity and ran with it.
Rob, they eased restrictions and he eased himself into Henry the Hoover. What aren't you understanding here?
Right.
Now, we should point out the offence did not involve anybody from the centre, i.e. the Baptist Centre. A member of the public walking past his office at the Baptist Centre, so bear in mind this guy is a pastor there, Rob. He's a man of the cloth, said they saw Jeffs almost completely naked, except he was wearing ladies' stockings. He was described as standing...
Oh, my God. Oh, God.
He was described as standing between two dark chairs, thrusting into a Henry Hoover.
So...
in his office in the church.
So, hang on. Can I just ask... there's obviously many questions here. I'm assuming was he holding the Hoover?
I don't know.
Or was the Hoover was the Hoover on the floor? Did he have a nozzle attachment on the Hoover?
Yeah, was he thrusting himself into the nozzle attachment, or was he going directly into the unit itself?
Yeah, into the mouth of the Hoover, if you will, because obviously it's got eyes, and I always think that the nozzle attachment hole would be the mouth. Right. Also, was the Hoover on at the time? Because there could be a sucking action that maybe he could have been. Well,
I think it must have. I assumed that if you're using the Hoover, you're using it with, Let's keep reading, Rob. The court heard that Jeffs
noticed... If not Alex, he's missed the trick.
Yeah, exactly. The court heard that Jeffs noticed the member of the public, but continued to thrust into the machine. He was also seen pleasuring himself, the court heard. Jeffs said he felt, in quotes, naughty, the court was told. He's a naughty pastor.
Just imagine that if that was just a member of the stores. Oh, morning, Doris. Yeah, don't mind me. Just carry on.
Exactly.
Oh, could you just change the flowers? They're a bit limp.
Rob, what a pastor does in the privacy of his own private office is between him and his conscience. Prosecution barrister Ellie Hutchinson said that Jeffs accepted in a police interview that he was touching himself in church, but claimed he did not know he would be seen, which makes it all right, Rob. The court heard that Jeffs has no previous convictions. No other offences have been committed since that time. Wise man. Alistair Evans, a defence barrister, imagine being given that job, said that Jeffs was still coming to terms with the loss of his wife at a young age and was, in quotes, in a lot of pain because he was ignoring his health and his diabetes was not medicated. So look, tragically, Rob, this guy's lost his wife. I assume she died. He's in a lot of... And he's also ignoring his own health, diabetes, and I'm sure... Okay, let me say this a different way. If I was with somebody and married to them and they died, I'm sure they would be touched to know that one of the ways I was dealing with that loss was by penetrating a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah. I don't know whether being fully naked, wearing a pair of stockings and, making love to a vacuum cleaner is the best way to begin the grieving process.
Rob, grief is different for everybody. Listen.
Yeah, true.
Jeffs, after pleading not guilty to the offence, was tried at Northampton Magistrates Court and found guilty of indecent exposure. Basically, he's been sentenced to death. That's the way things work up there. And that's the end of that story. No, Deputy District Judge Hart said, "Why you thought it best to bring this matter to trial, I have no idea. Jeff, because of course, had he just pleaded guilty, none of this would have needed. So he's had all this exposed. He's given an 18-month community order during which he is required to attend 40 rehabilitation requirement days, and he'll be placed on the sex offenders register. I think that's a bit harsh, isn't it? I didn't know violating
decency. That's why
he's ordered to pay £845 to the court and Rob £200 in compensation to the victim. So I assume that goes to Henry Hoover and his family."
Yeah, then the police will come around there. They'll just stick it on the floor and just hoover up.
God.
Can you just imagine being... I mean, usually a magistrate has a number of judges, but can you just imagine if that case was placed in front of you? You really have to then review your life choices. And also, by the way, most magistrates are unpaid, so you're dealing with this on your day off.
Absolutely. Right, Rob. Now we have a very similar a story that is related in theme. But as always, I think we're going over to India for this one, are we? I think it is. I might be guessing. We'll get to it as we go through the story. This is from Indy 100, the News Democracy. It's by Becca Monaghan. It's from a few days ago. Again, a classic. Man who, in quotes, feared his wife, refused to tell her he had water bottles stuck in his anus.
Did you say, was that a plural?
No, just
was it
one.
Water bottle or water?
Just the one. He's a lightweight.
I mean, that's enough. But, okay, fine, yep.
So doctors were shocked to find a water bottle stuck in a man's anus after he was said to be experiencing abdominal pain. The 50-year-old was taken to hospital when his wife became increasingly worried about his lack of appetite, constipation, and cramps. The man remained quiet about his painful secret due to being filled with, in quotes, embarrassment and fear of his wife, according to the case study in Clinical Case Reports Journal. However, the CT scan revealed a 19-centimetre bottle wedged in his anus. So we're talking fairly
19 centimetres.
Like that, I would say about that.
Sizable. Yeah.
Rectal foreign body, otherwise known as RFB insertions, often require emergency and correctoral surgical department. The patient often experience a delay in treatment due to being dishonest about the cause of their visit. This can result in complications such as severe bleeding and delayed surgery. Luckily for the man, medics were able to extract the water bottle without surgery. They slowly removed the plastic without causing any damage to the intestine. I'm looking at a picture of the CT scan. That is huge. Wow. While doctors at the Imam Khomeini Hospital in Sari, where's that? Where's Sari? I feel that's somewhere in the Middle East.
No idea, but I assume it would. Yeah, I've no idea.
Sari.
Iran. Iran. Only because I'm thinking about the item of clothing.
Iran. Yes. Khomeini. Yes. They did not. So the doctors did not disclaim how the bottle had gotten there. They suggested that sexual gratification is generally the driver of such incidents. The report explicitly stated that the man had inserted the bottle, very sensibly, Rob, with the bottom going in first, to use the top as a grip to pull out. But he's still got it wedged in there anyway, Rob.
Well, I mean,
you said it before, Rob. We'll need to say it again. They revealed they'd encountered various rectal foreign body instruments in the past. Can I just say, various rectal foreign body instruments is a good episode title, also the good name for a heavy metal band, such as bulbs, bottles, billy clubs, impulse body spray cans, very specific, is that of the brand, and turkey basters.
Well, the impulse body spray can is quite a feat of engineering, and I mean, if you compare it to a phallus, the two are quite strikingly similar.
I'm looking at one now. Yes, okay. I've never heard of impulse. Are they the new links? Are they, Rob?
No, impulse has been around for years, Alex. I mean, I don't tend to use female body spray a lot, but I am familiar.
How
with
do you know about it? How do you know about it then?
It's the same. Well, I mean, Alex, this is one of those things. I know about Dove and
men can use Dove.
Sure,
men can use Dove and Monk. I don't think is it called Sure anymore? I think it's called something else, isn't it?
I think it's called Sure. No, I think they make. Alex, let's not, for the listeners' benefit, just list female hygiene products.
The story ends with one of the best sentences ever recorded in any story of local anaesthetic. It just simply says,
"Okay,
the man was discharged 3 days later and referred to a psychiatric clinic. He has since experienced no problems."
Well, after, if you are, having difficulty after inserting a bottle into your anus, once that bottle has been removed, there's a good possibility that will solve the problem.
Okay, Rob, you got a story for us there, or stories?
Yep. So this is our obligatory story from the Daily Mirror. It is from the 27th of June, 2022 by Tiffany Lowe, who is the video news reporter, and then someone called Joe Smith, maybe some sort of trainee. And the headline is, brave breastfeeding mother tackles bald eagle in incredible effort to save pet goose.
Oh, yes. I've had this knocking around in my inbox for a while. I saw it and then it just sort of been shunted. And I never really got the chance to read it properly. Any story
a
that
good
involves
story.
a goose, Rob, is good in my eyes.
Well, also, I mean, you can also watch the video, but she is breastfeeding at the time, and she is in
She's
quite a state of
breastfeeding the
undress.
goose.
No, she's breastfeeding her child, but she is naked apart from a pair of knickers, and yeah. Anyway, we'll get on to that. So, Caitlin Oakley has been hailed a hero after the video of her daring rescue of Frankie the goose went viral.
I was going to say Frankie the goose.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So the mother of three was captured on a motion-activated security camera outside her home as she dashed to rescue Frankie after she saw a bald eagle attacking him outside her home in North Saanich in Canada. The showdown with the eagle took place with Caitlin trying to fend off the eagle while still keeping hold of her 4-month-old baby. The eagle can be seen grabbing the goose by the neck and dragging it to the floor as Caitlin can be heard yelling in the background.
Sorry, Rob. Wait. There's a lot of protagonists involved in this story. So she's breastfeeding a baby, but she also has a pet goose called Frankie. An eagle tries to attack the goose, and while still breastfeeding the baby, she tries to protect the goose.
From the bald eagle. Yeah, that's correct.
The bald eagle.
I was saying Caitlin, cat. Anyway, then Kate crossed, dressed only in her husband's boxer shorts, makes a run at the eagle, shooing away from Frankie. Drop it, let go, give me back my goose, she tells the eagle.
Give me back my goose.
Which is, that's what I would say. If I saw a bald eagle attacking my pet goose, that's exactly the phrase I would use as well.
Is that a euphemism?
No. I don't think so. Could be. So she later shared the clip on TikTok and basically explained that they'd already lost 3 chickens, and she was told that eagles can prey on them, but she was astonished to see an eagle attack her pet Frankie, and then uses the very strange quote, "Mama bear mid breastfeed protecting her sweet Frankie," which does sound like a euphemism.
There are some really weird issues going on here. You
I
understand having a connection to your animals, but this is just weird. I think she does breastfeed Frankie as well.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
The more
and they possibly include it in their lovemaking. I don't know.
It's possible. There's some quotes like someone said, "This mum is on another level. I speak for everyone. You go, mama." It's the phrase "mama" just makes me feel uncomfortable. And then another said,
"Mama bear, Rob. It's Mama bear."
Right. Okay. This was the 100% the most badass, amazing, award-deserving feature I've ever seen. Bravo, mama. Anyway, let's move on from there, Alex. So my second story is also from the Mirror. The journalist is Zana Eklund, who is the audience writer, and Helen Le Kaplan from the 13th of June. And the headline is, "Woman keeps smiling potato in the freezer for 5 years because it looks friendly."
Right. Okay. So we're talking about from one disturbed woman to another.
Quite possibly. So a woman's been keeping...
What do you mean a smiling potato?
It's a potato with a smile, Alex. What's difficult to understand
Is it still
about that?
okay after 5 years? Has it not sprouted yet? I don't understand.
It's been in the freezer.
Oh, right. I didn't know you could freeze... Yeah, of course you can. Never tried freezing a potato whole before, though.
No, that's true. It's not kind of... I mean, it's not,
Yeah, I bought some potatoes stick in the freezer.
Yeah, that's it. You wouldn't think that you put potatoes in the freezer. Anyway... So a woman has been keeping one potato in her freezer for 5 years. By the way, that is not a euphemism, just to let you know. For 5 years. She's one of those who likes to keep her potatoes in the freezer, if you know what I mean. Because it looks as though it's smiling at her. So Laurie Bricks, which is a great name.
It's a brilliant name. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So Laurie Bricks refused to chop at the spud when she was making hash browns in 2017 because she thought it was so friendly looking that she just had to keep it.
Rob, I love incidental details like that. That this was a number of years ago. That she decided against it when she was preparing hash browns.
Yeah, in 2017. Really brings it home. So she chucked it in the freezer where it's been living ever since. The potato clearly features defined eyes, nostrils, and a smiling mouth. And Laurie and her husband, Michael Bricks, have decided to name the cheeky carb Pete.
Okay, right, shut up. I'm going to have to, sorry, Rob, we're going to have to look at this. Smiling potato freezer.
Yes.
Let's see. Come on, Google, do your job. Yes, immediately. Okay, yes, I'm seeing the woman. Hang on. Okay, that is weird.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the face is very symmetrical. That's the thing.
The only thing I'd say, Rob, is it's not a huge potato.
No.
It's about the size of a egg, maybe a bit bigger. There are two very defined eyes and a mouth. It looks a bit creepy. It almost looks like it's got fangs. But the potato that she's holding up next to her, I see no evidence of these features on that. And I understand it's frozen, but is it the same potato?
If you look very closely, you can see the features. Like the one where she's got next to her face, if you look closely, you can see it. I think that there is
also say it's got feet. It's got sprout feet now, Rob. It does say that.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know, I think. So after sparing the spud, Laurie and Michael also threw together an impromptu photo shoot featuring pictures of Pete reclining in a chair, sitting at the dinner table and watching TV. 5 years later, 51-year-old Laurie recently unearthed Pete from her chilly new home and found the potato is now sporting additional features, including an ice beard and sprout feet, as you've already said.
He's evolving, Rob.
Absolutely. But Laurie from Parker, Colorado, Parker was Virginia, wasn't he? Said she won't be chucking the spud away anytime soon, and she wants to keep Pete for another 5 years so that she can do another photo shoot that will mark a decade since she found it. She said, I found him 5 years ago in a bag of potatoes from the supermarket. I was pulling them out to make hash browns for breakfast and spotted his little smiling face back at me. I couldn't turn him into hash browns because he was so friendly looking. He just made me laugh so hard. I couldn't throw him away or eat him. I remember thinking it would be a shame to get rid of him. I named him Pete because I thought he looked like a Pete. Any comments on that?
No.
No, fine. It might have been a couple of glasses of wine later on that evening that inspired me to do the photo shoot. I just thought we've got to take some pictures of him, and I wanted to make them exciting. I had a childhood dollhouse with some cute furniture and used them. I got the idea to freeze him for my sister. She had a cake with a celebrity on it from when she was young. She froze that and he took it everywhere.
Sorry. Okay. Stories like this often contain the best nuggets buried in there somewhere about 2/3 of the way through. Sorry, because I had drifted off. I heard something there that my local anesthetic radar picked up on and thought was extraordinary, but I can't tell you what it was. Read that again. I
got the idea to freeze him for my sister. She had a cake with a celebrity on it from when she was young, and she froze it and took it everywhere. Sorry, we took it everywhere because she loved that so much.
Hang on.
I was we could freeze him. Yes?
I don't know how long of this podcast we've got left. We could literally spend every last second of this podcast talking about what you've just told me.
Yes.
Surely one of the most extraordinary things we've ever heard on Local Anesthetic Podcast.
Yes.
You're telling me that she says, I got the idea from my sister, who when she was little had a birthday cake with a celebrity on it. By the way, that I've never heard of cakes that a cake with Mickey Mouse, but what, like a real life celebrity? Like Jimmy Savile on a cake? What are we talking about here? Right? And then hang on a minute. I believe
so.
And so because she loved the cake so much and didn't want to eat it, didn't want to spoil this lovely image of whoever this celebrity was, she froze it. But then she says something even more extraordinary. She says, we used to take it everywhere because she loved it so much. Yeah. So what does she mean by that? She means if they go to church, if they go on a trip out, if they go for a walk in the park, they take the frozen cake out and she carries it around. Rob, at what point were those parents thinking we need to take her to see a child psychologist quite urgently?
Alex, look. Some children have an attachment to blankets. Some have it to teddy bears, to toys.
Some have it to a frozen cake with a celebrity on it.
Exactly. I don't understand what the problem is.
Can you imagine they would go out on a summer's day, they'd have to rush home because it's melting? No! Who was the celebrity, Rob? Who was it? That's the bit that boggles the mind. Neil Buchanan on a cake. Remember Neil Buchanan? By the way, I'm not connecting him in any way, shape or form with the person I mentioned earlier. I should say that, so I'll reel off a few more celebrities' names. Pat Sharp, also not connected. They're only connected because they had the... No, shut up, you little shit. I don't know why you did that. No, we're not at all. We're saying it could have been anybody as a celebrity. Kylie Minogue. There we go. Fuck you. Kylie Minogue on a cake.
I'm sorry to say, Alex, it doesn't... I mean... I feel that as a reporter, they should have asked who the celebrity is, because I feel that that's a major oversight that they should have found out.
And then we could see if this cake even existed. I mean, I did. When you were growing up, did you see any cakes with like Anthea Turner on them? I did.
I must admit, if I ever turned up to a party and saw like a child's cake with a picture of Les Dennis on, I mean, that would have been. It would have been odd, but at least it was in context. I mean, he was a child not a child celebrity, but a celebrity that we would have been able to associate with.
That's why I'm wondering if they used the right term. Did they mean character, like a Batman cake? That makes sense. But a Chuck Norris themed cake with his face on it doesn't make any sense.
I like the idea. It was someone that was completely inappropriate, like J.R. Ewing or something like this, like a character from Dallas, or. Who else? Mr. T, maybe.
Freddy Krueger.
Yeah. Maybe it's Ronald Reagan, for all we know. Yeah. Happy birthday, darling. Here's a Ronald Reagan cake.
Are there any more extraordinary revelations from this story?
No. Apart from the fact that when they did the photo shoot, the potato had a tiny Stetson. And also, she also gave him some winkle picker shoes, and yeah, as already has been stated, obviously she's going to rephrase him and do the same thing in 5 years' time. But no, there's no more. I am tempted to try and see if I can find who the person is.
Yeah, try and do that, Rob, for us. Also, they should have asked her, does your sister still have the frozen cake?
Oh, that would have been fantastic.
Rob, before we get on to the listener story of the week, I have a very unusual story for you from abcnews.go.com.
Right.
It's actually the Associated Press, so they've lifted it. Rob, this is extraordinary. Family, from the 9th of July 2022. Family found living with weapons in Nevada Children's Museum.
Yeah, I mean, it's a short headline, but there's a lot there to process. Right.
So this is in Carson City, Nevada. A Nevada couple was found secretly keeping a cache of weapons and living with their 2 children at a northern Nevada's Children's Museum where they worked, authorities said.
Okay.
A janitor at the Children's Museum of Northern Nevada was arrested late last week, KRNV TV in Reno reported on Friday. The 41-year-old man has been charged with child neglect and endangerment and possession of a suppressor and a short barrel rifle. Authorities discovered the arsenal in a storage room, they said. A police report listed an AK-47 rifle, 3 handguns, a pistol, ammunition, knives, and a taser that could have been reached by a child. Very good episode title. The stash also included The stash also included drug paraphernalia like a bong and a used marijuana joint. Officials realised the family was living in the museum after the man's 2-year-old child was spotted walking nearby unsupervised, the Carson City Sheriff's Office said. It was not the first time police interacted with the man over his child being left alone, but this time the toddler's older sister gave deputies the museum as their address. Now, that is... sorry, you got to blame the kids here.
Yeah.
Surely the parents have said, look, if anybody ever stops you and asks you where you live, you say this. What a glaring omission not to drill into. So did the police stop her? Where do you live? Where's your address? Oh, it's the Children's Museum of Northern Nevada. Yeah, we live in a storage cupboard with a bunch of guns and drugs.
See, that's when, Alex, you need some sort of celebrity, a frozen celebrity cake to really distract them. You know, if you show them the celebrity cake, they'll be asking questions about the cake, why you need that specific celebrity, and then they've forgotten all about the address.
Authorities, along with the museum board member, then walked through the property and saw signs people had been living in the museum. These included, Rob, sleeping bags, mattresses, clothes and food were among the items found in areas off limits to visitors. The janitor's wife, a museum manager, was also living there, investigators said, but they did not identify her or say if she would face any charges. The couple have since been fired and the museum closed. Whoa. That escalated quickly. I understand them being fired, but why they closed the museum?
Sorry, can I just clarify? So, did I miss that? Were they employees of the museum?
Yes, he was a janitor there.
I missed that.
And they were living there.
Oh, sorry, you did say that.
The museum's board of directors... Hang on, the museum's board of directors is facing questions about how this was able to happen. The group issued an apology and said they were shocked and saddened. Sorry, Rob.
Is there no way that they could allow the family to continue living there and make them part of some sort of living exhibit?
That's exactly what I was thinking, Rob.
You need to show certain phases of the child's development, and they could be your classic what not to do in that situation. You're at the age of 2, your daughter should not be living in a cupboard of a museum with a selection of weapons and drug paraphernalia. Some people don't realise that you're not supposed to do that, Alex. And I think if they're able to see it firsthand,
you're right. It'd be educational.
It might change the course of their life. Exactly.
The museum's board of directors say we're looking into the best path to reopen in a way that not only assures the safety of all our visitors, but that we as a community can be proud of. The museum will reopen after hiring a new manager, but that won't be good enough for some parents. Leah Tushimito, who works at a nearby hotel, told the TV station she will never take the children there again. The entire ordeal has, in her words, Rob, been a complete shock. It's the end of the story.
I do like that. I don't know why. The fact that the manager was saying, was he a manager? I'm not sure who he was, but the guy was saying that for some people it's not going to be good enough. The fact that they fired them. It's just like, this is quite a significant breach, but fair enough.
So, Rob, have you got a story for us? A story from a listener, no less, Rob, in our legendary listener story of the week.
So, Alex, this is from Steve. It is a follow-up story, which I think you're going to absolutely love.
Okay.
It is from the IndieWire website, which I've never heard of before, but hopefully it looks American to me.
Yes, it is. I've heard of it, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
It is by Christian Zilko from the 4th of June, and the headline is... Alan Cummings' beloved chimp found after owner admits to faking death.
Okay. Yeah, okay. It's the story I covered a story about Alan Cummings and a chimp. I can't even remember what the hell it was about, but I remembered the chimp had had something to do with some weird sort of testing facility out in Arizona or something bizarre like that. Has this got the details of the previous story embedded in it so we don't have to recap for the listeners?
It does, yes, it does.
Brilliant. Okay, well, thank you, Steve. Thank you. Look, I know he's our roving Eagle Heights correspondent, but he's also, I guess, animal. I think he's making sure that we're kept abreast of any animal-related news there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Alan Cummings' search for information about Tonka, the baby chimp that starred in the 1997 film Buddy, alongside him and Rene Russo.
That was it.
Has finally borne fruit. The actor recently offered $10,000 reward for information about the animal, which was thought to be dead in 2021.
I think we speculated just as much as that, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. During the months we filmed together, baby Tonka and I became good friends, playing and grooming each other, and just generally larking around. This is a genuine quote, Alex, by the way. Alan Cummings said this. It's horrible to think he might be in a cage in a dark basement somewhere, or met some other fate. So I
thought maybe he was going to end up in this cupboard in the Nevada Children's Museum.
Maybe stuffed. As in, I know. Let's leave that there.
Or turns up in that barn with that Shetland pony and 2 sheep in Eagle Heights.
Yeah, I mean, he would be a star attraction, Alex. With the monkey who starred along and Alan Cummings and Rene Russo. He would really draw the punters in.
What if everything's connected and that cake that sister was her favourite item and she froze? What if it had Tonka the celebrity monkey on it?
I thought you were about to say what if Alan Cummings on. I mean, I don't think, Alex, I'm going to put it out there that I don't think
I don't want to talk about Cummings on the cake. Really don't. Not today.
Yeah, but also I was going to speculate that I don't think in the history of mankind anyone has ever asked for Alan Cummings on a cake. I could be wrong.
Again, I just don't want to say. I don't want to say anything.
Fair enough. Okay. However, Alex, this week Tonka was found alive in the house of longtime owner Tonya Haddix, where he had access to a 60-inch TV and a tablet device, and had recently participated in a St. Patrick's Day party, according to Rolling Stone.
Sorry. What do you mean? What monkey needs access to a 60-inch TV or a tablet? I haven't even got access to a 60-inch TV. Okay. Yeah.
He's not just a monkey, Alex. He's a celebrity. He's a celebrity monkey.
Must be getting on a bit now, no? I mean, if he starred in this Buddy film in the 80s, he must be pretty old now, no? He must be in his 50s or something.
It doesn't say how old the monkey is. No, it doesn't. Yeah, you would think so. Alex, it gets stranger. So not only does he have access to a 60-inch TV, a tablet device, and has recently participated in a St. Patrick's Day party.
Yeah, okay, I forgot that bit. That's even more ridiculous.
Yeah, Haddix admitted, so this monkey's owner, she'd faked the chimp's death as a way to avoid turning him over to the Center for Great Apes Sanctuary in Wauchula, Florida, which a judge had ordered her to do.
Sorry, this has got Netflix documentary written all over it.
Yeah,
this could be the next Tiger King, Rob. Tonka.
I mean, he's obviously had quite a very sort of interesting life, if nothing else.
Could you remember in the original story what I spoke about her?
Yes, I remember you. Obviously, as you rightly say, Alex, that she was bred in this bizarre organisation that bred monkeys
for Hollywood movies. That was it.
Yes,
and it was called like the Hollywood Movie Monkey Breeding Sanctuary or something. I wish I could remember.
It's an episode title. It's one of our episodes because it is so utterly bizarre. While the news that Tonka was alive should have made Cummings happy, the story was accompanied by a darker piece of information. Petter learned that the chimp's owner had allegedly planned to have him euthanized on June the 2nd.
What in Switzerland? Dignitas.
I think just going out the back with the rock.
Oh, right.
Haddix apparently denies this, saying she just scheduled a routine veterinary appointment for that day. She maintains that she always acted in the chimp's best interests, even subjecting herself to legal troubles for lying to court. And then she goes on to say, "Honey, I've been held in contempt of court 3 times. I have paid a $50 fine. I've been through the mill. I'm sure there'll be jail time in this somewhere. Do I care? No, I don't care. It's just because it's all about that kid."
It's all about that what?
Genuine quote. It's because it's all about that kid. As long as that kid is safe, I don't care about nothing else out there.
But Tonka must be about 40 years old at least now.
Yeah, but obviously she regards this chimp as her baby, Alex. It's strange that apparently Petter thought that she was going to euthanize him, but she was maintaining it was just a routine doctor's appointment or vet appointment.
I think she was going to get Tonka plastic surgery so he could avoid detection. Make him look like Alan Cummings.
Maybe, and then smuggle him out of the country.
There's a movie that's kind of like Face Off.
What, Alan Cummings and Tonka the chimp change faces, but then leave their bodies intact?
Yeah, there's a movie.
Alex, can you imagine being woken up one day by a chimp with the face of Alan Cummings? That really is quite a terrifying sight.
Is it? Or is it quite appealing, Rob?
Right, okay. So the very last thing to say, after months of searching, Tonka's finally been found and help is on the way. Peter's attorney, Jared Goodman, said in a statement, he has enjoyed nearly a year of isolation and likely needs urgent care. But if it all goes well, Petter will soon arrange for him to be moved into a lush sanctuary where we have a chance for a real life at last.
Rob, I've got to say something here, and you just got to give me the floor a minute, okay?
Okay.
We had a story today about that woman with breastfeeding her child, but treating Frankie the goose like it was another of her children and protecting it from a bald eagle. You recall that?
Correct, yes.
We had a story about a potato called Pete. Huh?
Yep.
Potatoes are infamously, Rob, associated with Ireland and Tonka the chimp celebrated St. Patrick's Day, the well-known Irish festival. And the big organisation that were involved in this were called PETA, or PETA, like Pete, the potato.
Very true. Yep. So far, impeccable logic.
Rob, I think I'm having a psychotic episode.
It's the heat, Alex. We've become delirious. It's more than understandable.
That brings this episode of LAPodcast, Local Anesthetic Podcast, to a close, Rob. Episode 367. Isn't it?
67.
367, Rob. We can be found on the website, lapodcast.net. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/LAPodcast. We are on Twitter, @LAPodcast. We're on Spotify. We're everywhere. But of course, the big thing is, and you'll probably have seen it on our main feed, because we're on Patreon, but we're doing these Patreon previews. They'll be happening every week. I really like them, Rob. I like putting them together. It'll be a preview taste of what's to come in the next Patreon episode. For those of you who don't know what those are, if you go to patreon.com/LAPodcast extra, Rob and I do more episodes of this. They're bonus episodes. They're paid for. You have to pay for them on Patreon. That's how Patreon works. But ours is a very minimal charge of £2 a month plus that. It's just the way Patreon works. But you get 2 episodes a month, don't you, Rob? Delivered straight to your inbox. And there are already
Correct.
25, 26, I can't remember how many episodes, 27 possibly, I don't know, episodes on there. So as soon as you sign it up for that, you'll get access to all those bonus episodes, which can't be found anywhere else apart from Patreon. And you'll keep getting episodes rolling into your inbox. And of course, you can cancel at any time. And if you want to do that, we would really appreciate it. If you don't, fine. That's it, Rob. We're going to be back in a week's time with the next episode of the Patreon, LA Podcast and Extra Jab. And after that, a week after that, can't wait with the quality of stories we've had this week, Rob. It'll be episode 368 of Local Anesthetic Podcast. Thank you for listening, everybody. We've really enjoyed your company. As always, God bless.
And keep it local.